I'm also going to meet with Democrats, and I will see if I can get a health care plan that's even better. So I will negotiate with Democrats, but from the Republican standpoint, we have the votes.
Anyway, welcome back to Hardball. That was President Trump yesterday painting a rosy yet untrue future for Obamacare repeal, despite the fact that 3 Republican senators had opposed the latest repeal effort, leaving Republicans without the necessary 50 votes to pass it. The president doubled down on his claim about having the votes with an even more dubious defense.
I just wanted to say, though, on health care, we have the votes for health care. We have 1 senator that's in the hospital. I feel we have the votes. I'm almost certain we have the votes. But with 1 man in the hospital, we cannot display that we have them.
Well, for the record, there was no U.S. senator in the hospital. And meanwhile, the Washington Post reported that the Alabama defeat leaves Trump weakened, isolated amid mounting challenges after his candidate in the Alabama Republican Senate primary, Luther Strange, was defeated handily by conservative firebrand Roy Moore. And Trump is now enthusiastically supporting Moore, who was backed by his former chief strategist, Steve Bannon, who he pushed out of the White House. Anyway, Bannon told Politico Moore's victory could pave the way for more renegade candidates, saying, "We're going to war. This is not a pillow fight. This is a fight. Taking aim at Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Bannon said, "We're going to make him so toxic, we're basically going to tell people, if McConnell endorses you, you're finished." That's going to put the fear of God in everybody. That's Bannon talking and Bannon talk. Let's go to the Hardball Roundtable. Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today. Dana Milbank is political columnist for the Washington Post. And Sophia Nelson is an NBCNews.com contributor. Susan, have you ever seen a president just make up stuff so completely out of whole cloth? There is no senator in the hospital. They don't have the 50 votes. And he kept repeating and repeating that no matter how many times you asked the question. He talked like Baghdad Bob. Baghdad is falling, sir.
No, I haven't ever. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, even the line that MSNBC was putting up as he spoke said repeats false claim because he said it over and over again, and yet it's been fact checked over and over again that nobody's in the hospital, as you said, no senator, and that it's irrelevant. And you know what else? Even
he doesn't have 50 votes.
Even if you flipped, one thought was that he thinks that he's flipped Rand Paul. Even if you do that, there's no guarantee that the senators, all the other Republican senators, are going to vote for.
You're helping Trump. You're doing what Obama said. Don't help him use logic when he just said something to me. I'm sorry, he says you can do what you want. But he so clearly said we got the votes. Right. We got the votes, Dana.
You know, the best part of that was he's presumably talking about Thad Cochran being ill. Yeah. And poor Thad Cochran has to tweet out saying, "I'm not in the hospital. I'm okay. I'm getting better." It's like the Monty Python scene when he says, "I'm not dead."
No, I remember when he slices him. Sophia, what do you make of this guy? Is it delusional, or does he think his peeps are delusional and they'll swallow this?
No, I think.
Which is it?
I think the president is delusional, if that's the word we're using. He simply doesn't live in a place of reality vis-a-vis what he's saying about people being in the hospital or not. He is not intellectually curious. That's my biggest problem with this man. He doesn't fact check. He shoots from the hip. And you simply can't do that when you're the president and you need to get health care passed.
You'd think if somebody said there's a guy in the hospital, otherwise we'd have 49. But we don't have 50, Mr. President. I mean, no matter how many people are in the hospital, we don't have 50.
Right.
And yet he didn't even say, now, what's the guy's name or woman's name? Or are you sure they're in the hospital? No, let me just throw it out there.
Think about what he did after Roy Moore's victory. He goes back so he has somebody go back and delete all of the tweets in which he's endorsing Luther Strange as if it didn't happen, as if we're in the Soviet Union and we can just reinvent and create our own reality. So, of course, maybe he believed when he said it.
That's probably the way Kim Jong-un runs the operation over there. Don't you like my haircut? I think it's perfect, yes.
There comes a point where I think we, the people, really are the problem and those that we elect, because at some point we have to start asking a hard question about Trump's fitness. And I mean this, I'm the Republican sitting up here. At some point, we got to ask the hard question, is he all there? He says these things, he does these things that we've never seen presidents do before. I'm just saying.
I think it sounded like you're talking about the founding fathers there. I think we should ask about the Declaration of Independence sometime, because the Russians, you know what I mean? How about we have our own country here? Don't mess with us. Anyway, the question is, you raised this issue about the president's being attacked on the right. He's got a two-front war going on right now. The progressives on one side, and clearly will never like him. Now we got the right wing taking apart his caucus. They're not going to get 50 probably on any vote they come up with because Rand Paul will never like it. The deficit hawks are waiting. I wonder whether he'll ever get anything through in 4 years.
Well, you know, the extraordinary thing
If he's there 4 years.
about the Civil War, the war that you saw there, it's a civil war. Democrats played no part in the combat there. And it does leave President Trump pretty isolated because he is not making friends on the Republican side. The fact that his chosen candidate lost in a state that he carried by double digits is one sign that he tapped this mood of the country, but he doesn't control it.
Well, maybe he shouldn't pretend he does. Maybe he should just admit the people of Alabama are going to pick their nominee, and I'm going to live with it. Instead of going down to like Bigfoot and saying, I'm going to decide. Roosevelt, he couldn't even do that. In Georgia, with Senator George. You can't pick people to tell them who to vote for. They don't like it.
It's a force larger than Trump is. Think about this.
It's called the vote.
2006, Roy Moore ran in another primary, lost by 33 points, now wins by 10 points. It's a wholesale change. This party is unrecognizable. Trump captured that, but he didn't create it.
I know. Corker's out, Moore's in. That's a change.
Well, I think
anyway.
that, I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
I think that Bannon is more dangerous out than he was in.
Yeah,
and I've always thought that. And he said it's a civil war. And I think they're going to teach Trump a lesson. We put you there. And if you don't hold to what you say, we're going to put other people who will do this and we'll take you out.
We'll see how strong Bannon is in the end, too. These guys are all big shots with big mouths. The roundtable's sticking with us. And up next, these three will tell me something I don't know. This is Hardball, where the action is.
You're watching MSNBC International. Morning Joe speaks truth to power.
This is how a guilty person acts.
He's shattering the hopes of the people who voted for him.
With access to the people who matter, from the Senate floor to the Oval Office. Morning Joe, weekdays, only on MSNBC.
Congressman, if the Comey memo turns out to be true, will you call for impeachment?
I have nothing further to add.
Do you stand by your comments that you would call for impeachment?
I have nothing further to add.
Whose word do you trust more, President Trump or former FBI Director James Comey?
I have nothing further to add.
Well, earlier today you said that the president should be impeached if the Comey memo is true. Do you stand by that comment?
I have nothing further to add.
Do you think the president may have obstructed justice?
I have nothing further to add.
Do you still have full confidence in the president?
I have nothing further to add.
Spend time across this country and you start to see there are no local stories. You pull at the threads of some local headline, there's almost always something bigger. What you see from your own front porch, it turns out to be the story of all of us in this country at this moment in time. And these are stories worth telling.
Watch your favorite MSNBC shows wherever you are. Catch the latest full episodes and watch live. Download the MSNBC app today. The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell, only on MSNBC.
Well, the state of California has just moved up its presidential primary for 2020 to the beginning of March. That gives the country's largest and most diverse state a right-sized role in the presidential nominating process. The move could benefit California Senator Kamala Harris, who's one of the candidates who could be in the mix in 2020. In 2016, Californians went to the polls in June after Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump had all but won their party's nominations. We'll be right back.
You're watching MSNBC International.
A lot of these are Rust Belt Democrats, high non-college educated whites, so that's the flip side of that. But yeah,
Nobody breaks it down like Kornacki.
Nobody. We love it.
Guy just gets in, peels it apart.
We put up, they're like, why do you put up with him in the clubhouse? He's throwing bats and helmets and everything. This is why.
You can put up with a temper sometimes. Right. I appreciate you guys doing this. Like Barry Bonds. He's so good. You just deal with it.
Oh, always. He is the Bonds. He really is the Bonds.
So good. You put up with a lot.
America is complicated. It's why our national anthem is a question. No, really. Can you see all these people with their experiences and their opinions? Can you hear them all speaking their minds? Americans are loud. We find a way to get ourselves heard. And these are stories worth telling.
Flight 800, we had reports of a plane down, absent any graphics. We weren't quite up to the challenge of an instant map. There was a young man on our staff who remembered he had a road atlas in his trunk showing New York's Long Island. Without that, we wouldn't have had any visuals, any graphics at all. I remember seeing the flickering. That's fuel burning on the surface of the Atlantic Ocean. It was so sad for so many reasons.
I love it when America works. It's never the purists and posturers, the critics and complainers who get things done. It's the leaders. That's our pride. And they don't speak for us. They roar like lions. They keep me going nonstop.
Tomorrow's headlines before they go to print.
I've just been handed some great reporting.
Tomorrow's questions before anyone's asked them.
Could you make an obstruction case?
Tomorrow's conversation tonight.
Who is there to speak truth to power?
Not a single person.
The 11th Hour with Brian Williams. Weeknights on MSNBC.
We're back with the Hardball Roundtable. Susan, tell me something I don't know.
So, you know, the president yesterday said that his tax plan was not designed to help rich families like his. He said they were going to repeal the estate tax to help millions of farmers and small business owners. Well, the Tax Policy Center calculated how many farmers and small business owners would pay the estate tax this year. 80. Total nationwide.
The agribusinesses. Anyway, Dana, that's something. It's $11 million. Yeah.
Well, Trump may think the health care bill fell because of a phantom senator in the hospital, but let's listen to Lindsey Graham, honest to a fault, saying why his bill failed. We didn't know how to do it. I thought everybody else knew what the hell they were talking about, but apparently not. So now they
I love
tell us.
Lindsey. He's so honest. Anyway, Sophia.
New FBI Director Christopher Wray apparently told the Senate that the FBI is conducting about, get this, 1,000 investigations of suspected white supremacists. How's that for scary? 1,000 of domestic terror. So
they're on them, though.
They're on them.
Sophia.
They're on 'em.
Thank you, Susan Page, Dana Milbank, and Sophia Nelson. When we return, let me finish tonight with Trump Watch. He'll like this one. No, not at all. You're watching Hardball.